All right, everyone. Wade here, NFL in London. Ryan's here as well. We got Edo and Will Gavin as well, guys. We're talking NFL games. We're talking a big game. Hey, how about those Minnesota Vikings 2-0, adding some luster to their new stadium? Although a little bit of injury going along with it. They are going against Carolina, who has not been playing well as late. They were able to beat up a San Fran team, but who couldn't? So this week, Minnesota is 7-point favorites. Can you believe that? Yeah. So the last odds I checked were 7 points. What did you have?
Yeah, that's what I've got here as well.
7-point favorites.
I misread that as Carolina was 7-point
I thought that as well. 7-point favorites.
Not a fan at all of that.
So let's get into this. I mean, Sam Bradford, he's the chosen one, obviously the greatest player that Minnesota Vikings have ever had. Edo, what are you looking at this game? 7-point favorites. The line was 8.5 and dropped down to 7.
Absolutely kidding me. Right, so here's the problem with Bradford. I don't want to really, tread on his corns after having such a good game against Green Bay. But Green Bay, we've seen wishy-washy so far. Bradford had average yards per attempt, still 6.5. That's still quite low. A lot of those throws we saw against Green Bay were short ones. He's got Diggs, who's an absolute monster to throw to, and he threw the ball a lot to him. But let's look at it this way. Carolina are really good with coverage. Their linebackers, Kuechly, Davis, I think they're going to eat him up. They lined up 73% of the time last season in nickel and 26% of the time in quarters. So they have their linebackers covering a lot of ground, a lot of sort of confusing looks, a lot of blitzes, a lot of stuff, which in my opinion is going to really be too much for Bradford, who was really successful in what was basically a run and shoot, something like that in offense at Oklahoma. Maybe it was a run and shoot, but it was something that didn't require him to really make much of a decision just to throw the ball. Even Chip Kelly can really do that at Philly. Last year, by the way, with Philly, he had a bad game against Carolina, didn't even throw a touchdown. So I'm just not very optimistic. I mean, I really like Minnesota, but just not this game here. And I think Carolina will murder them in terms of time of possession as well. Without AP, Carolina can keep the ball a lot. Cam was monstrous with Calvin Benjamin last week. Minnesota, without Adrian Peterson in 2014, they were 26 in ball possession, time of possession rather, which is a little bit worrying because I think Carolina can just take the ball away from them and panic Bradford.
So we've also got a big thing to mention there. We got both running backs pretty much out. You got Stewart and you got AP, although they haven't officially ruled him out as injured. That's sort of one of those things that come on.
Nonsense. He's going to be gone 4 to 6 weeks with something like that. He's going to have surgery, and actually, it could
they say it's months.
It's months, and he's old too. It's not like he's a spring chicken 23-year-old who's getting this knee surgery.
I'd be genuinely stunned if he comes anywhere near that team. And what you've actually got, you got a really interesting backfield behind both of these because you've got a young guy who they like a lot but hasn't broken out in both Cameron Artis-Payne and on the other side, Jerick McKinnon. And then you've got this kind of Matt Asiata, Fozzie Whitaker, who have both shown flashes when they've been good in games. And you feel like if they don't want to risk it, they might lean on that guy and they're going to get 3 yards a carry and be fine, but not anything good enough to really ignite the game that way. So I think they're going to have to throw it. And who do you fancy? I tell you, Bradford, I think, is better for the Vikings offense than Teddy Bridgewater. He can stretch the field in North Turner's offense. That is desperately what you need.
Yeah.
But you mentioned the linebackers, Shaq Thompson, Thomas Davis, both converted safeties. They're so good at coverage that I just think he's going to really struggle, and Cam will be able to throw.
But the running game as well. I mean, Carolina was gashed by C.J. Anderson, and they haven't shown the same, the Carolina defense that they had. So up front, you wonder if the running game is going to play a factor. If Minnesota's going to go, let's put McKinnon in, use Asiata in short yardage.
It's what they desperately have to do if they've got any chance of winning this. I just trust Carolina at home, full week to prepare, knowing that they've not got AP to go up against. And, AP was not running well before he went down. He was averaging, I think, the lowest yards per carry average for anyone over 30 carries since the AFL-NFL merger.
Wow.
That's ridiculous.
That's pretty old. Ryan, what are we thinking on this game?
Well, this is the interesting thing with Sam Bradford. He's one of those quarterbacks who's going to wow you, and then he's just going to kill you the next week. And that's what he is. And there's a huge difference between playing your first game in a shiny, brand new stadium where all in prime time, when all the fans are excited. You got this new stadium. You got this new quarterback. Everyone's up for it. Now you're going on the road to Carolina in your first road wave without your best player. And now we're going to see what the real Sam Bradford is. This is his big test game for him, I think. Because if he goes up and plays like Sam Bradford in Philly on the road, then people are just going to be like, oh, it's the same old Sam Bradford. But he's got something with Stephon Diggs. I think they're going to just kind of try to take him out of the game and make him beat him with someone else. And that's where it's going to be really difficult for them. Because that's like you were saying, Carolina's so good at just taking away something. That's why they got rid of Josh Norman. They're like, we're good enough. We have the schemes and the right setup to just take away your best players. And we're going to make you try to beat us with McKinnon and Asiata. And the only interesting thing with Asiata is when I read something in 2014 when Adrian Peterson missed the whole season, Asiata got 10 touchdowns to McKinnick's 0.
Yeah.
But 2 of those were in 2 3-touchdown games.
Jerome,
So across the rest of it, that's only 4 touchdowns the rest of the season.
But that's what worries me about
goal
a guy with Jarek McKinnon is that they don't trust him all the way. So he's kind of never been that guy. They go and then they're like, oh, let's give it. Like when Jerome Bettis was around. That's Asiata's like the new bus. 5 carries, 4 yards, 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
He's the closer.
He is. He's a short yardage guy, though. You got McKinnon who's going to gash it up the field, but then your Asiata is going to got to carry it into the red zone. You know,
Be careful, McKinnick fantasy fans.
Yeah. Well, who do you got? What do you think of the score in this one, then, Ryan? Let's pick up.
Oh, I think Carolina's gonna. I think it's gonna be close because I think Minnesota's got a really good defense, and now with no running game really in Carolina, but they still have Cam Newton, who's the MVP, showed it last year. I think they're gonna win about. I think it's gonna be about 21-17 for Carolina.
Edo, what's your score in this one? Prediction?
Carolina winning 27-17. And
27.
not being, and I really love Mike Zimmer. I just don't think this is the right game. Too
And
early.
your pick, Will?
I think the Vikings are going to struggle to score. I'm going 21-10 Carolina.
Ooh, okay. I've got it 24-20 Carolina. I think it's going to be a tight game. It's going to be fun to watch. And we do have it on at the Hippodrome Casino. You can vote every week to see which games you want to watch on the TVs. Of course, play along with DraftKings. We've got the Fantasy Lounge going. Go to DraftKings.co.uk/Hippo. You can play this weekend. Win 2 tickets to the International Series. See you on Sunday.